Hi, this is Mun Wah. Today what we're going to be talking about is what is actually multiculturalism, which was the title of my newsletter. Will the real multiculturalism please stand? And so today we're going to begin to take a look at defining what it is that we're working and looking at today versus what really could be. I have long felt that multiculturalism has been defined by the dominant culture, and oftentimes that determination of what is multiculturalism expresses itself through the very idea of dinners, food, dances, costumes. What it doesn't do is it doesn't really address what multiculturalism really is all about. I think that we seem to think that multiculturalism, when we have these holidays of Martin Luther King, Cesar Chavez, or Hanukkah, that simply knowing some key figures in each of these different cultures, that's really all that is, or all there is about each of those cultures. And I think that what's missing is that we're far more than that. I think that when we just focus in on 2 or 3 different people, that it's a little bit like a ride through Chinatown on a bus. You aren't really connecting with who the people really are. And for me, what multiculturalism really means is actually developing a relationship with each other. That I think that I'm far more than just my costume set, which is actually my clothing. And that the languages that I speak are not just gung hei fa choi, but there are many words in Cantonese and in my language to my people that goes really deep, and that our strong sense of family is what is important. So I really think that we haven't even come close to that. And what that relationship requires, if we're really going to get to know each other, is that it's often going to be a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes that we have of each other. I think that there is much that we're going to go through with each other. There may be conflict, there may be anguish, I may get hurt by you. But the work will be whether or not you're going to stay in the room. Whether or not you actually want to continue taking a look at yourself in terms of white privilege, in terms of how our lives might be different, class issues, all of that is all part of transcending and getting to know each other, to lift the veil, so to speak, about who we are and who we are not. I think that James Baldwin probably put it quite well when he said that America is one tough town. And I think that what he really meant by that is that the struggle for diversity and equality and getting to know each other, that's everywhere in this country. That I think that for 500 years, we've had 500 years of don't ask, don't tell. And so as we begin this conversation, we're bound to hurt each other. We're bound to get upset. We're bound to say things that will be insulted by, that will be turned off by. As I said before, once again, the work is whether or not we're going to stay in the room. The other part of what I think about multiculturalism is also about asking minority groups what it is they need and what they want. I think that very oftentimes the dominant culture decides for people of color, decides for women, decides for gays and lesbians and transgender folks, decides for young people what is best for them. And oftentimes there isn't a dialogue. There often isn't a minority group that's in representation, that's sitting at the table talking about what is needed and what doesn't work for them. And so I think that it's going to require a tremendous overhaul for us to take a good look at providing people of color, women, etc., a voice at the table to really share what it is that we want and what we don't want, what works for us and what does work for us. That, to me, is a very important step. I also think that, unfortunately, the dominant group often gets to decide whether these programs are successful or unsuccessful. Too intense, if they might become too political, if they might get too close to the truth. In other words, it becomes unfortunate when the dominant culture gets to decide and define what that truth looks like or doesn't look like. So it's really important to let people of color to create a safe container that people of color can feel like they can tell the truth about what it's really like on their campuses and in their workplaces without having the dominant culture constantly censoring or deciding what's appropriate or inappropriate. It's really important for people to know that the Arizona law, right now, part of the provisions in the Arizona law is to ask that multiculturalism classes be ended throughout the United States. So it's really important to let those people who have created that law in so many different states, that multicultural classes are not about trashing white people, but around a way to begin to have a dialogue with people from different cultures, to stay in the room, to begin the conversation, and to develop relationships. And so that part of the reason why I wrote this about multiculturalism, because I believe that not only is it strongly needed, but in the form that it is today, it is not meeting the needs of people of color. And that the Arizona law jeopardizes the possibilities for it to reach its full potential, and that is for us to find a way to get along. I think that Martin Luther King was absolutely right when he said that we fear each other because we hate each other. And we hate each other because we don't know each other. And we don't know each other because we're separated from each other. And the only way that we're going to come together is to truly get to know each other. To stay in the room so that we can develop a long-term relationship rather than once a year simply doing a diversity celebration. The choice, ultimately, is always ours. So I hope that you enjoyed our little chat together, and do look onto our website as well as our Facebook and on YouTube. There'll be many more opportunities where we're going to try to begin engaging in a conversation. And during the summer, we're also going to be developing online classes and webinars so that we can stay in contact with each other, but also an opportunity to get the chance to see some of our facilitation work and trainings and workshops that we do here at StirFry seminars.